Welcome back to Outside View Scandals, where we're about to uncover the scandalous scheming world of the Borgia family. And today we're diving into one of the most infamous families of Renaissance Italy, that is the Borgias. This is the family that practically wrote the book on scandal, corruption, and just about every trick in the How to Seize Power playbook. They took bribery, murder, and political manipulation to a whole new level. And when the Borgias are involved, things get messy, and I don't mean just with ink on paper. Now, let's set the stage. It's the late 15th century, and Italy isn't the unified country we know today. It was a patchwork of city-states, each one its own kingdom, often as violent and competitive as a reality TV show, but with actual swords and poison. Florence, Milan, Naples, Venice, and of course Rome, each wanted to be top dog. And that's where the Borgia family, originally from Spain, saw their opportunity. They moved into the Italian scene with one goal: to make a name for themselves, no matter the cost. And believe me, the cost was high, especially for anyone who got in their way. Our story begins with Rodrigo Borgia, the man who would later become Pope Alexander VI. Yeah, you heard that right. The Borgia patriarch wasn't just any political player, he became the Pope. Rodrigo wasn't exactly known for his saintly virtues. In fact, he was the kind of Pope who believed in divine right to do whatever he wanted. And he certainly didn't hold back. Before he became Pope, Rodrigo was already infamous for his questionable morals and ambitious ways. Let's just say he was no stranger to the art of bribery. And to secure his position, Rodrigo didn't rely on sermons or scripture. No, he relied on something far more tangible: money. He bribed cardinals and influential figures to support his election, buying his way into the papacy. And once he was Pope Alexander VI, he was ready to turn the Vatican into his personal empire. Imagine the irony. The very place to uphold faith and morality became the center of corruption and vice. But for Rodrigo, the Vatican was his castle, and he ruled with an iron fist and a sack of gold coins. Now, Rodrigo had several children, and they weren't exactly the image of piety either. His son, Cesare Borgia, was perhaps the most infamous of the lot. Cesare was a man with the charm of a prince and the soul of a cutthroat. And if you think of him as a Renaissance mob boss, you are not too far off. He was ruthless, strategic, and had a gift for warfare. Oh, and did I mention he was a cardinal? Yes, Cesare was appointed a cardinal by his own father, keeping it all in the family, as it always is. But don't get too attached to the idea of Cesare in religious robes. Being a cardinal was just a stepping stone for him. He wanted more power, and he wasn't going to let a little thing like the church get in his way. So he cast off his cardinal robes, took up a sword, and set out to conquer Italy one city at a time. With the backing of his father, he launched campaigns to expand Borgia influence through brute force, but also through cunning alliances, and let's be honest, more than just a little bloodshed. And then there was Lucrezia Borgia, Rodrigo's daughter. She was one of the most misunderstood figures in this whole drama. For centuries, Lucrezia was painted as a femme fatale, as a seductress, a schemer, a poisoner. But in reality, she may have been as much a pawn as a player in the Borgia game. She was married off multiple times to secure alliances, and when her husbands were no longer useful, let's just say they met rather unfortunate ends. Some say Lucrezia was involved in poisoning them, others claim she was an innocent forced into her family's web of schemes. Either way, she became a symbol of the Borgia legacy: beautiful, cunning, and potentially deadly. So let's talk about the Borgias family's favorite weapon, the poison. Yeah, they were infamous for their use of poison to get rid of enemies or even friends who were no longer convenient. The Borgias reportedly used a poison called cantarella, which was supposedly undetectable and incredibly lethal. They would slip it into food and wine, eliminating rivals without a trace. It was said that Cesare and Rodrigo used Cantarella to take out political threats, clearing the path for their own rise. I mean, why go through the trouble of a duel when you can just add a pinch of poison to the soup, right? But the Borgias didn't just rely on poison and bribes, they also mastered the art of marriage alliances. For the Borgias, marriage wasn't about love or romance, it was about strategy. They would marry their children off to noble families, forging alliances that would strengthen their influence across Italy. And when those alliances were no longer useful, well, yeah, that's where the poison would come back into play. Lucrezia's marriages in particular were like a revolving door of political partnerships. One day she was married to a powerful lord, the next she was mysteriously widowed and ready for a new alliance. At the height of their power, the Borgias essentially ruled Rome and much of central Italy. They had allies, armies, and wealth beyond imagination. Rodrigo, as Pope Alexander VI, wielded the power of both the church and the state, while Cesare conquered lands and intimidated rivals into submission. The Borgias even had the King of France as an ally at one point, thanks to Cesare's diplomatic charm, or maybe it was his knack for making friends disappear. But the Borgias were always walking a thin line. They had enemies everywhere, from rival families to ambitious clerics who despised their corruption. And their downfall came as swiftly as their rise. Rodrigo Borgia, Pope Alexander VI, died in 1503, allegedly poisoned by his own Cantarella. Irony, anyone? Cesare, without his father's support, lost his grip on power and was eventually killed in battle. As for Lucrezia, she faded into a quieter life, her name forever tainted by her family's dark legacy. The Borgia reign of terror was over, but their story had already cemented itself as one of the darkest chapters in Italian history. The Borgia legacy lives on today as a symbol of corruption, ambition, and scandal, and they have become the poster family for Renaissance intrigue, with their story retold in books, TV shows, and countless rumors. Some say the Borgia name is synonymous with evil. Others argue they were just a product of their time, doing what everyone else was doing, only better. In any case, the Borgias left a mark on history that can't be erased, a stain as indelible as the ink in Vatican records. So the next time you think politics is dirty, just remember, at least no one is spiking the punch with Cantarella anymore. Oh well, we hope not. So thanks for joining us on Outside View Scandals, where we've uncovered yet another tale of treachery and intrigue. And remember, while the Borgias may have loved their power plays, I'll stick to simpler pleasures like pineapple on pizza. Until next time, and the next video is right here in the end screen.